Last October, I showed off Georges Bess and his Frankenstein story that he did through Magnetic Press. He's also done two other ones that I'll be showing off this month. First of which is Dracula, adapting Bram Stoker's novel in what I think might be the greatest Dracula adaptation. The artwork in here is impeccable. You're going to want to take a look at this. It's one of the best drawn comics I've read in a long, long time. So stay tuned and watch this video until the end. And we're back. My name is Taylor. This is Taylor Talks Comics. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell icon to make sure you don't miss out on any of my videos. I have 31 videos coming out this month, all to do with horror comics, and you want to make sure you check that out. Comment down below with your thoughts on Bram Stoker's Dracula, Georges Bess, Magnetic Press, whatever you want to talk about. I love talking in the comments. And give the video a thumbs up. Share with your friends. Let them know. If you have a friend that loves horror comics, let them know what I'm doing over here for the month. But this is a beautiful collection. I will link above and below. Last year, I covered the Georges Bess's adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and I was blown away by that book. So I was excited to get this in my hands. Thank you to Magnetic Press, by the way, for sending out this review copy. I was excited to get this in my hands, and also have The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which I'll be reviewing later this month. Just an incredible, incredible collection. Some of the best artwork I've ever seen in comics, period, but also of late, because this was done within the last few years. Just amazing, amazing work. And I love the book design here. If you can see, there's like a shiny bit of the red. It gives like this shiny red blood look to it. And I think Georges Bess's wife designs the covers based on his artwork, and she does a tremendous job. And then the spine has, again, with that shiny blood red on the Dracula, and the back maintains that same kind of motif. And of course, with Magnetic Press, they have their signature rounded corners on their hardcover, which is always great to see. We're gonna open this bad boy up. Great title page here. Everything's great about this book. So this is the first chapter, just gets right into the story. And there are chapter breaks for each, which I don't think they mirror the chapters of Bram Stoker's Dracula necessarily. They might. Now, it's been a while since I've read that. But I think there are 15 to 16 chapters in total. But they each chapter comes with a cool little title page. And then just admire this artwork. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. Frankenstein was a hard one to look at or even to like conceptualize, because I feel like Bernie Wrightson's already has the monopoly on great comic book artwork when it comes to Frankenstein, but Georges Bess's artwork was amazing. Now, the cool thing about these collections, which I was not aware of prior to reading the Frankenstein book, I got the Frankenstein book, so I was interested in it, but I didn't realize these were like artist editions. Like, these are scans of the original art from Georges Bess, which adds a whole other layer of what I love about these books. And you can see some of that original art here with like the whiteout or the white inking and painting on top of his black art. You can see a little bit of that. And his line is so clean that you don't always see it, but will see some pencil lines coming out of the ink lines a little bit here and there. But I just love the absolute fidelity of his original art. And his character designs and the scenery, everything about this book is amazing when it comes to the artwork. And this is a really faithful adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I read an interview with Georges Bess that he did. I think it was with the Comics Journal, where he said that he grew up as his early teens. He read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Bram Stoker's Dracula, and the kind of impression they had on him as an artist. I love snow too. I love any time an artist draws snow and their interpretation of it. Really, really great stuff. Kind of reminiscent of like Barry Windsor Smith and the snow that he draws. But I guess they had this crazy impression on him as a kid in reading, stories. And so he always had this ambition to adapt them into comics, into another medium. And that's where these products came about. Years and years and years later, after he read them for the first time. But the Frankenstein one was amazing. These are not your Universal Monsters stories. The Universal Monsters, if those are the only kind of interpretation of Dracula and Frankenstein that you know of or aware of, then that's not what you're going to get with these. These are closer to the actual novel experience. And this isn't a cool thing that he did in this book that was not in the Frankenstein book. It's another little flourish that he added with this one. But kind of like this Art Deco, trippy 1960s, almost like Jim Steranko looking backgrounds here and there with things. This is the Dracula character here as he is coming about. And he looks more closer to the way he's described as Bram Stoker's novel. And look at this. Just amazing. The dead white eyes of Dracula, that this looks so eerie. The wolves that he may or may not control or just has like a relationship with. And here's the castle. So the story of Dracula, if you're not aware, Jonathan Harker goes on this expedition to go to the castle in Transylvania of Dracula, who they only know as this is like this rich guy, and he wants to buy real estate in London. So that's what John Harker's mission is to go there and kind of help work out this real estate deal. And on the way, as he's like approaching the castle, he gets all these villagers and things are telling him like, don't go in there, like it's bad news. Again, just look at this art. Every page is like a brilliant piece to admire. But he goes regardless, and then he becomes like a prisoner of Dracula, and he doesn't quite know why. But Dracula has imprisoned him into this castle. There's no way out. He tries to escape at one point. It doesn't go well. And then he meets all these other women in here. And they have their own little ambitions or tribulations, their own things that they're trying to do. And the whole thing reads just like Bram Stoker's Dracula, where one of the narratives of that narrative kind of styles that he chose for that novel was to have it be like journals of multiple different characters throughout, which I feel like could be confusing to an early reader of Bram Stoker's Dracula, trying to figure out who's who, but never confused throughout here of who's writing and who's talking about what. Georges Bess did a great job of that, of making it clear who's talking when and who's talking and who's writing the journals that you're reading at that moment. Lucy Strange's illness. So this is how they start to figure out about the vampire blood. One of the characters comes down as ill, and the only thing they notice is that she has these bite marks on her neck. So trying to figure out what happened to her. And then that's when it unravels into this mystery of, are there actual vampires, and is this a real thing, and who are the vampires, and who are they trying to kill and attack? Just a true amazing adaptation of this work. And I mean, I don't want to spoil much for you if you've never read Bram Stoker's Dracula and how it ends, because it is very different than the Universal Monsters adaptation. And most adaptations, there's not been a lot of movie adaptations of Dracula that have been close to the novel, especially as close as this. I'd say like maybe Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola in the 90s was probably the closest, but even that changed some things here and there. But here's a little piece too. This is interesting because this is present in most books. If you pick up Bram Stoker's Dracula in the novel version, this chapter is present in most of them as the first chapter. But you'll see here Dracula's Guest by Bram Stoker, by Bram Stoker, first published in 1914. After Bram Stoker's death, his wife Florence published a collection of short stories, including Dracula's Guest. This work is purportedly the first chapter of Stoker's famous novel, a chapter that he abandoned. The manuscript, which includes all the elements of the fantasy, is a draft of the famous novel. Georges Bess offers you an adaptation of the text, followed by a few pages of studies and sketches. So this is after the story, so the story has concluded, but this is him doing the short story after the fact, published in the same chronology as how Bram Stoker published it, which is really cool. And the artwork looks a little different here too, so I don't know if Georges Bess changed up his art for that part of it. Now here's the back matter. There's not a lot, but there's enough to wet your whistle here. Just some concepts and rough layouts and things that Bess was working on, and some title lettering and things. And it does come with a beautiful blood red ribbon to go with it too, to mark your place of where you're reading. But that's it. I cannot recommend this enough. If you are into vampires, if you're into horror comics, if you're into just really good, great looking comic book art, you have to pick this up along with Frankenstein. And then you can wait for my Hunchback of Notre Dame review to see if that one's worth it as well. But just absolute beautiful, mind-blowing artwork on every single page of this book. that alone is worth the price of admission as a good art book. But the story itself, based on Bram Stoker's novel, is an incredible read and a great story of fiction. Thank you guys for watching. Again, subscribe. I'm doing 31 days of horror comics. You don't want to miss out on that. Hit that notification bell. Comment down below with your thoughts on Dracula, Bram Stoker, Georges Bess, Magnetic Press, whatever you want to talk about. I'll talk to you down in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up and share it with all of your horror-loving comic book friends. And keep talking comics.